Okay, continuing on with our series on interviewing. In this video, I want to talk to you about research, or the research that you should do prior to an interview. Okay, to start with, you need to research information about the job. Okay, and that research should go further than simply reading the job description and understanding what is required in there. You should also review other job descriptions for similar positions so that you understand the skill set that will likely be required for the position. Because oftentimes employers don't fully understand all that will be required of an individual in a position. And so that being said, if you do the research, you can speak to obviously the things that are required in the relevant job description, but also you can speak outside of it and say you have additional skills with regard to this specific job function. Okay, so that's number one. Know that job extremely well. Okay, and like I said, that means searching similar jobs from other companies posted elsewhere. Okay, the other is career path. Okay, after this job, what is the natural progression of the chain? Ultimately, you're moving up in the organization. What does that mean? What are the different viable options for the next position for you? Now, generally we call that a career path, right? Oftentimes jobs are such that the path will wind back and forth, and the next job that you'll be promoted to or assume in an organization is not necessarily the natural evolution of the job you were doing before. That is, you'll go and do something different. That's particularly true if you're on the management track and the organization sees you as someone who could potentially be in a position to be over multiple different functional areas. It's not uncommon to rotate through various functional areas. As a matter of fact, you can watch our video on business rotational programs, and that's the very concept behind those programs, the idea that you get experience in a broad group of areas. But to the extent possible, particularly in skill-based areas like accounting, marketing, finance, things like that, what is the natural progression upwards? What will a promotion look like? That type of thing. So you may need to research that outside of the company before you look inside of the company. And if it's not 100% obvious within the company, that's when you'll ask questions during the interview process to help you understand that better. And those are really good questions. Show that you're invested in what you're doing, what you're applied for, you're knowledgeable. Okay. Next, you need to research general information about the company. Okay, most of us lose perspective once we are involved in something. Once we learn about something, we forget that the rest of the world doesn't know or understand exactly what we do. Okay, so when you join an organization, all of a sudden we seem to think that everybody knows the company, that everyone knows what the company does or its subsidiaries, or who the CEO or the executives are, that type of thing. Okay, but largely that's not true. Okay, people outside of the company will have very little knowledge and understanding about the company. So that being said, if you are going to relate well to the individuals with whom you're interviewing, right, or with the individuals that you're able to meet from the organization, whether through networking efforts or just when you're being shown around the office, for example, you need to have an understanding of the organization, the structure, okay, if there are multiple subsidiaries, that type of thing, the reporting chain, who the executives are. All of this extremely important, once again, for you to best demonstrate fit with the organization. Okay, and then lastly, researching yourself. This is perhaps the most important thing that you can do, because during the interview process, it goes deeper than simply looking at your resume and determining whether what you said on your resume will relate to the job. Okay, there's also an element there, and we discussed this in our videos on fit, right? Organizational fit. Okay, that is you establishing some level of understanding, right? Some level of commonalities in terms of interests, beliefs, and values with those in the organization. So you fit within the overall being or culture of the organization, right? To demonstrate that, you're going to answer a lot of questions in a lot of different ways. Some of it will be information-based, other will be behavior-based and things like that, but you'll inevitably be asked to explain things about your past or explain how you would do something in a given position, right, in a given scenario. Now, to the extent you are able to recall past incidences from your work experience, from your life, that you can relate to the situation that they're putting in front of you, or if they give you questions that say, tell me about a time that, right? You have a working library, a piecemeal bunch of stories that you can relate to any situation. The same story could relate to a time you were successful and a time that you failed, right? That type of thing. And we discussed this in other videos, how you answer interview questions in that way. But the important thing is to, once again, have a good solid timeline and understanding of things in your past and how you can use those individual stories for different types of scenarios to give examples of how you reacted or how you would react in a given situation.